I'll wait about 2 more minutes and then I'll get started. I know the folks on the East Coast are all eating food, and I imagine a few teams are having meetings right about now. So we'll get started. A little strange to me because I can talk and hopefully you guys can all hear me, but I can't really hear you. So if you need to interact with me, type things into the chat. Jamie Flint from NC First is on. He's going to help answer questions in the chat as well as help direct them at me, and hopefully between the two of us we'll get everything covered. I guess it's also worth mentioning that we have Kate from FIRST on as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get her to answer some questions later as well, things that I can't answer, maybe she can. I know she can't give away a whole lot about what's going to be in the kit of parts, at least not yet, but maybe we can get her to talk and answer a few questions. So myself, I'm Marshall Massengill. I'm a mentor for Team 900 here in Durham, North Carolina. So the webinar is about the virtual kit of parts items and then the first choice process. And we're going to walk through a couple of different things with the virtual kit of parts and how that process works. And then the first choice process as well, which will start up tomorrow, which is going to be awesome. And I was fortunate enough to reach out to AndyMark and two of the staff members there, Jerry and Charles, were nice enough to set me up with access to the First Choice Beta test website, which is really cool because I can actually demo the site for everybody and you guys can see what this is going to look like once you get access to it. And if you're a veteran team, if you've done this before, then it's pretty similar to how it's been in the past. Not a whole lot has changed. So the virtual kit of parts, the items are software items. They're redeemable vouchers. They're codes that you can use for discounts on parts. It just sort of depends on what FIRST has available from the suppliers that are providing parts and services this year. In the past, we've had everything from vouchers for 3D printed parts to cylinders to software. You name it, it's been in there in some form or fashion. So the first choice items, first choice is a way for FIRST to provide items to teams that are donated by suppliers in smaller quantities. These items are, they don't have enough of them to go around for all of the teams, but they have enough to make them available to teams that want them. And the way it'll work, the way it works is through a draft process and through the creation of what is called a priority list. So, we're here to help out teams and mentors who haven't done this before. And hopefully we're refreshing some memories of those of you who have. If you have questions, like I said, feel free to ask. Jamie's going to man the chat window for me, and hopefully we'll filter out questions. So if I can figure out how to unmute you, I can maybe do that if you need it. So we'll try that later if somebody's got a question. So the first thing to talk about is TIMS, which is the Team Information Management System. First Choice requires, and the virtual kit of parts items require that you have access to this or are friendly with the person who does have access to it for your team. So the person you want to get in touch with is the primary or secondary team mentors for your team, and they're going to have access to TIMS. Inside of TIMS, I'll show you on the next screen what that looks like and where they can find that information. So you want to make sure, though, again, that you talk to your primary or secondary mentors about getting access either through their accounts or having them give you all of the voucher codes and credentials if you're the one who's going to take charge of ordering these parts for your teams, or if you're the one in charge of doing that. So this is what the TIMS site looks like for mentors when they log in. You get your login information provides you with the ability to get in here. You'll see a little box on the right-hand side of the screen on the website for First Choice information. The login information for your First Choice account will be located there. You'll be able to retrieve the username and password that you need to log into the First Choice website, which I'll give you the link in just a minute, but the link will be available for teams prior to that. The other thing you'll find in there is other vouchers. You can also find things like the Q&A system login, and then missing parts information will be there as well. You can see those on the screen. But you'll find other vouchers. If you're a veteran team and you opted out of the kit of parts chassis this year, your AndyMark PDV will be located inside of TIMS, at least it has been in the past. You'll find information about how to get the Bemba pistons and a few other things that get put out there. So other things that come in the virtual kit of parts, like I said, lots of software. In the past, we've had items from SolidWorks and Autodesk. Both of those are typically available to teams before the season even starts. You just need to contact Autodesk or SolidWorks about that. Google search for SolidWorks or Autodesk plus FIRST or FRC will typically get you to the right page, and they'll have some contact information that you can find typically, and you can communicate with them. So the other thing that I really like that's been included in the kit of parts in years past, the virtual kit of parts, is Altium, which is some circuit board design software. Our team has made use of that. I'm hoping it's in the kit of parts this year. If it's not, there's some alternatives that are out there that we can use. So National Instruments provides software to all of the teams too. Some of that's available sort of as part of this virtual kit of parts offering. Some of these won't have voucher codes inside of the portal, the TIMS portal, but you'll be able to find them by going to the supplier's website, and they'll have some information about how FRC teams can retrieve this. So PTC, GrabCAD, there's all kinds of others too. Even if you yourself or you don't have a mentor who's interested in it, can't use this software, then get it to your students. Put it in their hands and get them to create awesome stuff with it. So students, at least for FRC, are some of the most resourceful and creative. So getting them access just to this software and getting them in front of it is fantastic. They're able to take advantage of it. So like I said, other items, vouchers. Last year, I know there was stuff from a bunch of different companies for electronic parts and all kinds of things. And I'll also throw out there that while it's not technically part of the virtual kit of parts, but the real kit of parts, you'll find flyers and postcards and pamphlets from various companies that have donated supplies to FIRST or donated voucher codes. Go read those pamphlets when you get the actual kit of parts and make sure you use the voucher codes if you can take advantage of them. So the first choice process, we'll talk about that now. If you actually go visit the FIRST blog, they put it out there how this process works, and it's a flow chart. It looks really complicated. It's not. So you don't actually need to understand the chart completely, but the basic premise is that you're going to be able to create a priority list before the first and second rounds of first choice, and it does happen in 2 rounds. Round 1 will start tomorrow and go through December 9th, I believe is the date, and we'll have to confirm that on the next slide where I have all the dates. But the first choice process will work by you submitting a priority list. And you go to the First Choice website, work through the process of submitting a priority list. Then it goes through this flow chart for each listing within the priority list. So each listing you have in the priority list is basically another, I'm hesitant to call it a round because the First Choice process is put into rounds, but we'll call it that anyway. It's sort of a round of selection for the parts within First Choice. As you go through that process, you are provided parts based on a random selection for the team and where your team falls in that random selection process. So, and it has a lot to do with odd or even rounds and the way this is working. It's very random. So basically what you need to know is, oh, sorry, I got the date wrong. It's December 6th. So by December 6th, you're going to need to make your priority list, and it's a list of parts that are on and available on the First Choice website for your team. You'll make your selections and put them in an order of priority for your team. So you want to think about parts in that way. Each team has a certain number of credits that they're allocated for parts. You want to make sure that you have more items in your priority list than you actually have credits for, because that way if the first 3 things in your list you don't get, by the time it gets down to the 4th thing in your list, you have credits available for it and you'll be using them. So if you just put the minimum number of credits in your priority list, then you might end up in a situation where you don't use all of your credits. That's not necessarily a bad thing because credits actually roll over between the 2 rounds of First Choice. Just remember that more teams might be paying attention for the 2nd round than they are for the 1st round. So you might not want to hold on to that many credits. You actually might want to try and use them up if you can. So it is a random selection process. Don't count on getting the first thing you put into the list. But you will probably get a lot of what you put into the list. I know, speaking from experience for my own team, we were able to get probably 85% of the things we needed or wanted out of the First Choice process last year. And it's fairly similar this year. All right, am I going too fast for you guys? Anybody have any comments, feedback? I feel like I'm going really fast through this before I continue. I'm trying to see if I can look at questions. Hopefully Jamie's doing that. I had the ability to do this earlier, and now I don't. There we go. Speed is good.
No questions,
All right.
so
Awesome. Looks good. Okay. Yes, I will make the PowerPoint available afterwards. So do everything I can to do that. So in fact, what we're going to do, I've got it recording the entire session, so I will make the entire session recording available after the fact. And I don't know how that process works yet, so bear with us, but we will post this all online so that you guys can get it after the fact. So, all right. So back at it. Too far. So important things for First Choice. The website is firstchoicebyAndyMark.com. AndyMark is nice enough to supply First with the website for this, and to the credit of Jerry and Charles, they have created a website where it has a random process for providing parts from an inventory system that in turn doesn't charge for each individual part, but instead only charges you for shipping, which sounds really easy maybe for some people, but it really isn't. It's actually really complex, and they've designed an amazing system. So credit where credit's due. Those guys have done some fantastic work to create something really cool for teams to use. So firstchoicebyAndyMark.com. You have to provide a billing address and a shipping address and credit card information before you can create your priority list. Unless you're picking up your parts directly from AndyMark, in which case you might be able to get away without providing any credit card information, but that's really only for teams in the Indiana area is my guess, and in and around Kokomo would be my guess. I suspect they don't have a lot of teams that pick up parts. For any international teams on the call, additional charges will apply. AndyMark will work with you on that. They're going to be in touch with you guys specifically about that. At least that's my understanding of how that's going to work for you. If you have questions, particularly if you have questions before December 6th, before the first round of First Choice ends, make sure you get those questions to AndyMark, and they'll have help email addresses on the website and ways to contact them. So get in touch, ask questions if you get stuck and need help. So priority lists are saved when you click update. If you don't click update, they don't get saved. So make sure you click update. You can edit the priority list all the way up to the deadline. You don't have to finalize the priority list or check it in or anything. Whatever order it's in on December 6th when First Choice Round 1 closes is the order that it's in. So items will not ship in your priority list until you've secured your first event registration payment with FIRST. So make sure you get your first event registration payment details worked out with them prior to that. That's done through FIRST. That's not done through AndyMark. So just to be clear, the First Choice process and the shipping is handled through AndyMark. Your registration payment for events is handled through FIRST. You have to contact them about that. But AndyMark won't ship your parts to you until you get that information squared away with FIRST. So First Choice Round 1 dates, November 19th is tomorrow. That's when First Choice Round 1 opens. So you get your login information from TIMS. So, and again, you get that from your primary and secondary mentor contacts inside of TIMS. They'll have access to that. Your Round 1 priority lists are due by December 6th. December 9th is when you will be notified of the results from Round 1. Don't be disappointed if you don't get everything that you asked for, but you should get most of it. And it's been my experience so far. So, and I think most teams will tell you the same thing. So you'll be a little frustrated you didn't get that one thing you really wanted, but be happy. You're getting a lot of cool stuff, and the suppliers are all donating these things, and AndyMark's donating time to send it and deal with the inventory of it. And, you know, it's awesome for everybody involved. This is great stuff. So on December 11th, it's open for traditional live orders. That means you can use any leftover credits you have for Round 1 to place orders for things that are still in stock. So, and the inventories are listed on the First Choice website, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit when we go look at it. So, on January 8th, which is the day before kickoff, First Choice closes temporarily. So, Round 2 dates, it's very important that you understand that Round 2 starts right after kickoff. So, or not right after kickoff, but pretty close to it. So, First Choice Round 2 will begin on the 9th. You get more credits added to your account, so any credits you had left over will be there as well, and the new credits will add to that. So you'll be able to use typically the second round. They include things like game pieces. They include other parts that maybe came in from suppliers a little bit later in the process. It's all kinds of stuff that's available and out there for people to use. So January 16th will be Round 2 priority lists when they're due. On the 19th, you'll get notified of the Round 2 results. So you'll notice there's a gap there first couple of weeks. That's to give teams some time to look over what's out there, make some decisions. I will tell you from my experience last year that Round 2 was a little bit less inventory that was in the system, and then what was there was mostly, at least for our team, was mostly game pieces. We did take advantage of all of our First Choice credits last year, and I highly recommend that you take advantage of the credits that are there. So January 22nd, the system will open for traditional live orders, and then May 14th, First Choice will close. So make sure everything's done by the 14th. If you've got credits, use them. So, some pro tips.
Marshall?
Yes.
We do have one question from Edward Sherlock.
Yes.
In terms of, do they have to be credit card or will they take purchase orders?
I believe you can work with AndyMark to establish a purchase order, but I would have to delegate that to them and tell you that you need to contact them. And somebody's posting in there. Charles is actually posting, and I think Kate might have posted something too. Did I get the date wrong, Kate? I think Kate's saying I did for the second one, April 14th. I put May, so it's entirely possible. So I would definitely yield to her on that. So I will make sure that if that date is incorrect, it gets corrected before the final presentation goes out. So, oh, no, CC only, so credit card only to answer your question. So Kate, are you on mute or can I take you off? Let's see. Kate, you're off mute if you want to talk. I don't know if she has a mic. So anyway, to answer the question though, it does seem like it's credit card only. So no purchase orders. So sorry, credit card only. You'll have to work with folks to find out how to deal with that and get reimbursed or work through your school system or whatever you got to do. So, ah. So I'll go back to pro tips. So add more items to your list than you have first choice credits for is my number one suggestion, and the probably number one thing that a lot of teams don't do. I don't have the statistics on that, but I have a feeling a lot of teams don't take advantage of the fact that you can add way more stuff to the list than you can actually get. So take advantage of that. Do it. Add a lot. So I think AndyMark recommends 2 times the number of credits. Go with 3. Be ambitious. So look through all of the items, all of them. So take time to look through everything that they have available. Suppliers have generously donated these items to teams, so take the time to look through. You might find something useful, and you might be able to come up with a use for something that you're not really necessarily, you don't think is going to be that useful to begin with. So take some time to look through. So each line on your priority list represents a run of the flowchart that I showed earlier. Don't waste multiple runs on the same items. So what that means is you can add 4 joysticks or 5 batteries or whatever the limits are and however many you put. You can actually add it so that there's one item, quantity 1 item per line. Don't do that. Add multiple items to the, or increase the quantity instead is what I'm really trying to say. So instead of adding multiple lines of the same item, increase the quantity that you're requesting. So before you actually add an item to the priority list, the one thing I will tell you to do is look at the quantities available and think about how in demand that item might be for other teams. So what I mean by that is that other teams might really want batteries, and I think every team really wants batteries. I don't think you can have enough. So I've been doing this for a long time. I still feel like we don't have enough batteries. So batteries are going to be top of the list for a lot of teams. So bear that in mind when you add things to your list. And, it is a random process. So the main thing you can do is just be informed about how many of that item they have. There's over 3,000 FRC teams globally now. So when you've only got 3,000 batteries to go around, it might be that not all teams get a battery that way. So, or at least through first choice. Now, that being said, typically you get a battery with the kit of parts every year, which is awesome. So. Again, credits carry over from round 1 to round 2, but keep in mind that you'll have just as many, if not more, people going after these items for round 2. So just something to bear in mind. All right, we're going to try and do a demo. So I'm going to the website that AndyMark set up for me. This is not the official First Choice website. It's the First Choice by AndyMark website, which is a beta site. So when you go, this is the page that you're given. Hopefully you guys can all see that. You'll see that it's got test site here at the top. It tells you, some information, It's hosted by AndyMark. You'll also see lists of parts. You can see them without logging in, which is kind of cool. So you can send your students to the First Choice website and tell them to create priority lists. You could turn this into a team activity where you've got a handful of students that are working on creating their own individual priority lists, and then maybe you merge them together and figure out what you guys think collectively you ought to put at the top of your list. So you log in, and hopefully this will work. It's taking a second. I hope you guys are all like humming the theme from Jeopardy. All right, so it says team number. I'm not putting in a team number. I'm putting in my email address because that's the login that's been set up for me. I'm putting in my top secret password. So, and I'm going to log in, and you're going to see that the first thing that happens is it tells me that I have to set up a shipping address and I have to set up a billing address. So, and I go down here and I don't have anything, so I'm going to add a new address. I can add it here. I can add it by clicking that button over there. So I'll step through this process. I have my stuff saved in my browser. You might not. Just step through it. So my name, my home address, my phone number. I guess you guys could call me now. It'd be kind of funny. Don't do that, please. No, so I'm going through. I've got a shipping address, a billing address. So billing address is the same for me. You'll notice it's selecting these things off as I go through, checking them off for me. Last, I need to select the shipping and payment method. So I can have AndyMark hold $50 for ground shipping. I can have them hold $100 for overnight shipping. Or I can pick up an AndyMark, which is $0. I tried this earlier, and I'm not going to enter real credit card information online. I mean, I love you guys dearly, but I don't trust you that much. So what I'm going to do instead is select the pick up an AndyMark option, and that's it for me. I'm going to do submit and start editing my priority list. Yes, I should do that. Charles is mentioning that the parts on here are using last year's data. So the parts that are available on here are not the parts that will be available this year. So was that Charles? Who was talking?
That was Jamie. We have a request to slow down just a tad bit.
Oh, sure. Okay. I can do that. If they have something they want me to repeat, I'm happy to do that. They just need to let me know what, or let you know what. So I guess I can recap real quick. So I went to the home page. I hit login. I logged in with my information. That information will be available to you in PIMS. Once you log in with that information, you'll go to the First Choice website. It will, after you've logged in, it'll prompt you to enter a shipping address, a billing address, and then the payment information. In this case, I did not put any payment information in. I selected local pickup. That is an option for teams that are near Indiana or want to send somebody to Indiana, I guess. But normally you would put in your billing information for picking up your parts. You have the option of a couple of different shipping methods, either ground or overnight. You enter your credit card information there, and it has to be a credit card. It cannot be a purchase order. And that's it. It'll then assign you a priority list number. If you're really interested in that, you can go look at the flow chart, and it's in the presentation, and there's a link to it as well later. The priority list numbers determine your placement, but it's all random anyway, so I wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. So once you have all that, you can go to the products page now that our priority list is there, and we can start looking through some stuff. And, let's say that I've got a team this year and I want to add, I talked about batteries earlier. Let's click on the batteries and look at them. So they've got 3 in stock, none are on hold, and there's 3 available. They're 50 credits. It says that I can have a max of 2 per team. Pickup for AndyMark will apparently only be available for Indiana teams. That's interesting. So you guys, if I offered to drive to Indiana, you guys wouldn't let me pick up my parts, Charles? I'm being funny. I'm not going to drive to Indiana. I wish I had the time to. So go hang out with Andy for a day. So I'd have to call first. Okay. So really and truly, all kidding aside, the main thing is if you have a special request, if you're a team with special shipping needs, you're an international team, make sure you guys call AndyMark and speak with them. Hopefully they'll reach out to you, but if not, get in touch. So make sure that you're having your needs met. They're a fantastic company. So it's the email to reach out to is firstchoice@andymark.com. So batteries, I'm going to add these to my priority list. It says I can have a maximum quantity of 2. I'm going to go with 2. Again, batteries are important, so I want batteries. So first thing on my priority list. So it says it's been added to my priority list. I'm going to go check out my priority list. This is my priority list now. So it says currently 100 credits and 1 unique item in my list. It's possible not to get everything. They recommend double your available credits. Again, you can go even more than that, 3, 4 times, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I do recommend you do at least double. And then each round of the process is only going to use 1 line, so you want to make sure your quantities are there per line. We'll go over that in a second. So you can see my 1 item right now. So let's add some more items to my list. You know, we're a team that's all about sensors, so I want to look through and, you know, I see this encoder. I want to add these to my priority list so I can have a maximum of 2. I'm only going to add 1. Maybe it's not that important. So that's there. I want to go look at, you know, you can browse through the catalog in different ways. So it's not just that page that has everything on it. You know, you want to look at just controls items. You can find those by looking through the categories. You can find parts by supplier over here. And by the way, all of these guys are awesome for donating parts. So, but I'm looking through the controls category. You know, I decided I wanted a webcam. Max quantity per team is 1, but I want to add it to my list. I can do that from here. I don't have to look at the quantities. I can add directly from this page. So maybe I want to add some toggle switches. You'll notice that each one of these has a certain first credit amount with it. So you have a certain amount of credits to spend. I don't know if you guys, if First has specified the number of credits the teams will be given yet, but last year I want to say it was like 300 or 600 credits, something like that, and I'm probably way off on that number because my memory with numbers is terrible, but you get a lot of credits to spend. Yep, it'll be, so Kate's actually saying they haven't set the amount yet. We don't know that, so it'll be in our account when we log in tomorrow. You'll be able to find that here. If you go to the My Credits tab, oh, there we go. So this is 600. Again, this is last year's data, not this year's. Who knows? Maybe they'll give us 1,000 credits tomorrow. That'd be awesome. So, or 900 maybe. I'm a big fan of that. But you go in and you get your credit amount from the My Credits tab. If you need to make changes to your billing information, you can do that under your My Account tab. I believe you should be able to. If not, you can call AndyMark, or you can also email them, again, firstchoice@andymark.com. So if you want to look for specific items, you can search. So there's also a search bar at the top. So there's lots of different ways to do this. So I'm sorry if I'm being a little all over the place and scattered here. We'll go back to the priority list setup because I do want to show you guys how cool it is that you can do some things with it. So, you know, we want to add some Velcro. I don't know. We'll add some control system stuff. I can use a new C-Rio. Not really. Glad that we're moving on to the Robo-Rio now. So we've got couplers, you know, there's bearings, there's bins, there's tools, there's bags, there's all kinds of stuff. I don't know what will be available tomorrow, but you get the idea. There's lots of parts that are available for teams to select and choose from. So I've added a bunch of different things to my priority list. Let's go, actually, I want to add something that I've already added. So we'll add the encoders again. So let's go check out my priority list. So, I've sat down now. It's, a week into this. We just got it, let's say, tomorrow, and I've gone through it. Now a week's gone by, and I've talked with my team, and priorities are a little different. We decided that we could get batteries after the fact, so they're not as important. So I just drag them down, and it's there. Notice how it says that I have to update the list for the changes to be saved. But that's not the only change I want to make. I decided Velcro is really important to me, and I need a lot of Velcro. So I'm going to add a whole bunch of it, and I'll update my list. So you'll notice the quantity changed, the ordering changed. The other thing I've got in here is these two encoder items. So, a round of first choice, I'm going to try and get an encoder, and then again, I'm going to do it later. Like I said, doesn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of doing that. So I want to remove this item, and I want to increase the quantity here by 1. So I'll update that. That will take care of removing it for me, and it'll take care of updating that. You'll notice the remove column over here was what I clicked on. Quantities are here. I decided bins and organization stuff is really important to my team maybe, and wanted to add some more of those and increase the priority for them in the list. So adding that there and clicking update. So hopefully that process makes sense to you guys. And then when you're done, and you can do this all the way up until the December 6th deadline to edit this list. But when you're done, that's all you have to do. Like, you don't even have to log out. You can just close your browser or not close your browser. It's all updated on the First Choice website, and they keep track of it for you. So, if you're like me, you're going to be paranoid until the last minute and checking to make sure that nothing's changed and it's exactly how you want it. But you don't have to. It's going to be there. Everything's going to go through the way you expect it to. So, and it'll be out there and available for you to look at and change right up to the last minute. So hopefully I've answered most of the questions about that. Does anybody have any specific questions?
We do have a few questions.
Sure.
We got 2 questions. One saying, are you going to go over recommended products for a team just starting out where all this is completely new? And another similar question, can you give us a sample priority list for a rookie team?
Oh, y'all are hurting me. Okay, I can try. Here's my recommendations since you guys are asking. And keep in mind, I have no idea what parts are going to be available tomorrow. If you don't have basic tools for your team yet, so hand tools, put those higher on your priority list. Just going by what FIRST has said this year and what little bit I know about the game, they've said that bumpers are coming back. We know that based on past year's games involving bumpers, that typically involves some level of interaction between robots and either other robots or items on the field. So for me, that means that I would probably prioritize batteries and chargers. I would do that anyway if I'm a rookie team, mainly because batteries will make or break you when you're doing back-to-back matches and you have to charge them constantly. So I would prioritize batteries and chargers. If you're a brand new team, maybe you want to get very basic items. So I'll go back to the page here just to look at the sample items from last year. Very basic stuff might be, steel track is good. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with that. I don't know how much steel I would actually use on a robot. I think aluminum's probably a little bit better, but again, very basic stuff. Extra control systems are always good. I don't know what's going to be available tomorrow, but motor controllers would be something to look out for. Those were available last year. I'm looking through. You'll see this black Jaguar. It's one of the older motor controllers, but it's available. The last couple of years, I'll mention that NVIDIA has been very generous with FIRST and has donated video cards. If you've got a student who's really interested in CAD and has a desktop PC, or you've got a classroom with a desktop PC and you can take advantage of one of these cards, then definitely try and go that route with it. I'm looking through what else we got. So motors and gearboxes. Gearboxes for rookie teams are really important. because you want to start building up that sort of arsenal of COTS parts, COTS being the acronym for common off-the-shelf items that FIRST allows teams to reuse year after year. So these aren't customized items. They're things you can buy from either different suppliers, mainbots. Oh, awesome. So Kate is saying, and I will mention this because she's confirming it, so it's from her, that there will be limited quantities of the Victor 888, the Victor STs, the Talon SRXs, and the Sparks motor controllers in First Choice this year. Those are all different motor controllers. They're all a little bit different, and there's a blog.
Marshall, we lost your audio.
How's that? Is that better?
There you go.
Ah, perfect. Sorry. No, Kate, we all lost audio, or I did apparently. Go figure. So the motor controllers, there's a blog post that Kate is mentioning that the different motor controllers are available, that they're limited quantities of the different motor controllers will be available through First Choice. So I would definitely prioritize motor controllers if you're a rookie team. And again, this is my advice. Sit down with your team and your students, read through what you know about these things, and ask lots of questions. Get out there in the community, the FRC Reddit, Chief Delphi, the official FIRST forums, your local teams. Ask them what their priority list looks like. I've never had a team ask me what my priority list looks like, but there's plenty of time for that, and I feel like if a team did, I would definitely share it with them. So I think most veteran teams are going to be happy to do that, and maybe we'll even start a new trend of posting your priority list on Chief Delphi or something. That'd be kind of cool. Some teams might be reluctant to make that public because they don't want other teams to know what they're doing from a strategy perspective or something, but I think it's way too early for that, and you can pretty much post what you're after. So the other thing that might happen because of that is if really popular, good teams are requesting certain items, then maybe those items will go first. So I don't know. There's some strategy there. That's a Karthik thing more than me. So, but there's lots of cool stuff that will be available. Prioritize things that you're going to need. Ask your local veteran teams what was important to them when they were a rookie team, or what they want to know, or what they know now that they wish they had known then. Again, for me, definitely batteries at the top of my list. So we're running a veteran team, and we've been doing this for a while, and batteries are still at the top of our list for First Choice. I'm looking through what else is on here. Safety light, always important. Very good things to have. Alan Bradley, very generous for donating those. So go through the entire list, find out what's important to you, look at how many credits it costs, and, make the decision. So ultimately, it's going to be up to every team. So, Jamie, do we have any other questions? Hopefully I answered that one to the best I can. It's a very opinionated question. So.
We do have one more question from Edward Sherlock.
Sure.
Are there certain parts that come in every kit that we don't have to go through this process for?
Are there certain, sorry, I got part of that.
That's okay. Are there certain parts that come in every kit that we don't have to go through this process for?
You don't know. You don't know what's included in the kit of parts, other than rookie teams will definitely be getting a control system. There are things that FIRST lets out early, so we know that all teams will be getting the new radios this year. I don't know if additional radios will be made available through First Choice. So you can see one on here. I think they had the one from last year, the D-Link. So there's the wireless bridge access point from last year. many years ago, I guess. It's been around for a while. They're replacing those this year. You know you're going to get a new one in the kit, but maybe you want an extra one. Um, you know, FIRST typically includes some pneumatic items in the kit. They typically include some bearings. They typically include breaker, snap action breaker kits in the kit of parts for all teams. But I can't tell you. I can't guarantee that. You know, we don't know. It's an unknown. You just have to kind of work with it. You know, you typically in the kit of parts, you'll get an IGUS bag. You'll get all kinds of interesting stuff. What I would recommend doing for any rookie team, you can actually go and find the listing for the kit of parts items from past years' kits of parts. And I will do that, you know, real quick. So FIRST 2015 kit of parts. So hopefully this will take me, no it won't, because FIRST has redone the website. I'm really hoping we can find it. So I'm really hoping there's a list. There used to be. I can't find it at the moment, but I tell you what, I will try and find it and put it out there. So, oh, Kate's got it, like right there, ready to go. This is awesome. This is the kickoff kit from last year. So you'll notice it's divided into different totes, and then the AM14U2. So all rookie teams will be getting the kit of parts chassis for this year. I don't know that it's got the same AM14U2 moniker. It probably is listed as the AM14U3 or something. I don't know what the model number will be, but you'll notice there's a checklist for each of these kits. You know, these are the items that were included last year, and a lot of these have been included in the past. So veteran teams will not get all of these items. Rookie teams typically get more items because you guys are getting the control system. You're getting additional things that you haven't had before. The LabVIEW software, really important for teams running LabVIEW, less so for the teams running Java and C++, though typically the software stuff includes some other things that are kind of interesting and fun. So I'd definitely take a look at all of the software items that come in the kit. So, and you get an idea about what's likely to come in the kit just looking through here. So, and Kate, thank you very much for that link, because I know I would not have found it otherwise, probably. But it is out there and available. So, and I will make sure that that link gets included in an updated version of this presentation when all is said and done. So other items in this presentation, we'll finish up real quick. I don't know, were there any other questions before I move on, actually?
No new questions at this time.
So, oh, there we go. So any other questions? And that's really it for me. I do have a slide that has some resource links on it. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. Please understand, I'm a mentor for a team. I'm not directly affiliated with FIRST, but I'm happy to answer questions for teams if I can. And you know, whatever I can do to help you guys out, I'm happy to do. You can find me on most of the major team websites that are out there, Chief Delphi, and like I said, Reddit earlier, and the FIRST forums, and wherever I can get, I try and post things. Oh, the blog link may not work. I will get an updated version of the blog link so that it actually works. But there was a First Choice blog article that came out that Kate wrote, and it's fantastic. And it covers all of the things I covered in basically the same amount of detail, just not without the interaction and the website stuff. But that's okay. It's out there and available for teams. Link to Tim's, which is still working even though the usfirst.org site's been redesigned, and the First Choice website will be firstchoicebyAndyMark.com, and I'll put a link in here for the email address for support for First Choice. Awesome. So Charles is saying the blog post is copied to the firstchoicebyAndyMark.com site in the First Choice Rules tab, so it'll be available for teams there. And it's firstchoice@andymark.com for technical support and help. I can't provide that, but the folks at AndyMark can definitely do that, and they're amazing for the work that they do. So, And again, make sure you contact people with help tabs and contact buttons on these websites first before you reach out to me. So I'm happy to answer questions, but I don't run these things. I'm just helping out. So, all right. Do I have any other questions? Have I answered everything? It took about an hour. We've got 2 hours officially, but if we don't need it, then we'll end things here. If not, if you guys have questions, I'm happy to keep answering them.
As of right now, there's still nothing new.
Okay. So, again, thank you all to everybody who was able to make it and for the questions you guys asked. You're awesome for doing that, and you're awesome for coming out and learning about this from your various teams. And a big thanks to Charles and Jerry from AndyMark and Kate from FIRST for showing up and answering questions way better than I can and correcting my dates and my mistakes. So I'm very, very grateful for you guys for doing that. So.
Marshall, we do have one last question.
Oh, one more. All right.
Edward would like to know where he can download the PowerPoint.
I will make it available after the fact. I think there's a way for us to see who's subscribed or signed up for the talk, so we'll send out the recording to all of those emails is what I hope. I'm going to lean on Jamie, who's been our awesome moderator for questions, to help me with that after this. So we'll make sure we get information out to you guys as best we can, and the PowerPoint as well. So, and you're more than welcome to steal the Mystery Science Theater meme for your next presentation. I highly recommend it. So, and thank you to NC First, Marie Hopper and Jamie Flint for both helping me out with putting this together for all teams, opening up for everybody to attend. So it's awesome. All right. Are there any other questions? I think we're good.
There's one last.
Oh, one more.
One more. Do you have any comments on the 2 new motor controllers and if we should use those over JAGs, Victor SPs, or Talons?
All right. So I'm going to put on my personal preference hat for a moment, and please understand that this is my opinion. I would try and avoid the older Jaguars and instead go for the newer motor controllers. I haven't used the brand new ones yet. They're not available to teams yet. I suspect there are some beta teams that maybe have some of the new ones. My team, 900, we use the Talon SRXs because we use the CAN bus, and that's just how we do things. We use sensors a lot with our designs, and we try and incorporate encoders into most of what we do. But that's not necessarily for every team, and it's not necessarily for every single mechanism that we design. So we have a lot of motors on the robot where we might not need feedback on them. So for that, I would maybe recommend the Victors or one of the newer motor controllers that just uses PWM, though I believe they have some capabilities for limit switches as well, which is kind of cool. So you can have a motor controller attached to like a lift mechanism with a forward stop and a reverse stop on it, so you don't run out the end of your elevator, whatever your lift is, which would be kind of cool. So it's really up to you. I would do the research and figure out what you need for your team. Rookie teams, I know, will be given a couple of motor controllers in their kit because it's to everybody's advantage that you guys get working robots and get them working really quickly. So take advantage of the kit of parts that you've got and the kit of parts chassis and the motor controllers and the control system and the awesome tutorials for all of the software, and just make stuff work really quickly. And then, pick the motor controllers that you can, A, get a hold of, and B, work for you. So, and I don't know what quantities will be available for stuff. I do know that last year the Talons and the Victors the new ones were introduced brand new, and they were a little difficult to get a hold of as many as we needed, but at the same time, we never really had an issue with it. I know there were teams that did at certain points during the season, but I think the quantity issues have been dealt with at this point, and there will be more than enough that are available for teams. So hopefully that helps with that. I know that, again, it's an opinionated question. I can't give you a definite. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. So look at the data sheets.
Looks like that's all the questions.
Awesome.
Kara had one. but I had her. I sent her my email address.
Okay.
I can address her if she emails me.
Okay.
Other than that, looks like we're good.
Cool. Awesome. Again, thank you to everybody who was able to join, and again, thank you to AndyMark and First. So, super excited for the season. Can't wait to see what's on First Choice tomorrow. So, I'm really excited to get in there and set my priority list. And if I remember, I will make it public, or if people pester me about it, if you want to see what we're going to get, I will commit to making it public and available for teams to look at. Again, it's a completely randomized process anyway, so not that big of a deal. So thank you all, and everybody have a good night.